something in, and he used to do out. For example, he's strong, and I used to be
Weak.
suave,
Soft.
soft. Not softy, really softy, because she's so tense. She's tense, but she's fragile.
Oh, yes.
I used to work with these. We used to work. Me and Julio used to work with these at the backstage. Let's to do two things that.
Contrast.
Yes.
Yeah. If I may go back to what you said, which I thought was particularly fascinating, is what you thought you were acting was not actually what you saw when you saw the screening. Well, yes. We intend, as much as we intend, we live within a penumbra of what we can't intend. It's unintentional, and it occurs. And again, what I found so wonderful is that I had always a sense around you and around Julio of what you couldn't intend, as much as, do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that came beautifully.
I think that's what makes the relation, that comes the relationship look like a true relationship.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
I just have a question over there.
Yeah.
Take this.
I just have a question about the music, because I felt like it was such a strong part of the film, and it was almost like another character. These sort of great musical interludes. Was that something that happened when you were first thinking about the script, or was it something that happened in the edit, and then you guys worked
No, it happened. It happened before. We were thinking about that, like where Renata and Renato are looking out the window and the sun's going down. We wanted that clash of music, you know, to define their personalities and their struggles.
But there were quite a few times throughout the film there were these sort of musical, I guess interlude is the right word, I don't know. These sort of moments where you know, you spend a long time with just listening to music and seeing something, or maybe the sort of, you know, the rainy streets and the car lights and things like that, which I thought was sort of interesting.
Yeah, my Eric Blood, who did the soundtrack, he's from Seattle, and he's a great musician. He really enjoyed the fact that, like, the characters were, you know, listening to their music, and he could just kind of go to town on things, you know. Okay, like she's looking out the window now, and she's okay. You could play a song during that period. But I knew Blood's music for a long time before that, so, and we spoke extensively about, like, you know, how we would do it.
Can I just quickly? I read an interview with him, and he said that when he was watching the film, he wanted to kind of go with his first reactions as well, kind of use some instinct, which, if it's true, I think seems quite nice because it almost keeps itself within the film as well. If it's sparked off by the film, it's almost like it's come from the film. The film's told him what the music is, and is that true? How
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
And you're very pleased with it.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's nice for him to spark off, and it's almost seems like when that happens, it's an idea. It's something that already exists, and you're bringing it back. You're making it real. So it's quite nice, a natural, organic idea. So there's a question.
Yes, I was wondering, was the original book written to be located in Brazil, or how did you decide to have it in Brazil? And do the director?
You know, my love, I'm so deaf now.
Oh, my question is, I'll speak up. Was the original book written to be set in Brazil?
No, it was a short story, and it was set, I think, in New York or Boston. I can't remember.
And then how did it, where in the trajectory did it get to Brazil?
Stephen just thought it would fit into Brazil, it works beautifully.
Absolutely.
I think. Well, again, you see, I think what Stephen was saying about there's an essential thing going on there. So it's universal. There's something that's universal. So the actual setting could be rather neutral.
Yeah.
Because of the emotions involved. That could take place I don't know about China, but in the whole of the Western world, because it's reaching for essentials, and I think that's what appeals to me very much as a writer as well. When one's trying to write in terms of what one thinks of as being the important issues in life, which are love and death.
And to simplify that more, I was living in Brazil.
I see, well that helps.
Shall we talk about that apartment a little bit? Because did you spend a lot of your time there? Were the actors sleeping there? How did you source it? It's perfect, it's the right size, it has a lot of light in it. I mean, you must have had a choice in that as well, maybe. Who chose it?
Sorry?
Stephen or Andre?
Well, you know, I have a film school in Brazil
Oh.
called the International Academy of Film, or Academia Internacional de Cinema. And one of the professors who teaches a program, who used to teach a program called Image in Context, he's an artist, and that was his apartment. And what was his name?
Wagner Morales.
Wagner Morales. And we just thought it was perfect. And I knew Wagner from a friend who lived in his apartment before. And so I knew about his furniture, I knew about his record collection. I used to hang out, and I love this, Barcelona in the corner, So I knew the apartment before.
So you went round, hung out in it, and said, would you mind moving out for a bit?
Yeah, and he went to Paris for 3 weeks.
Is that how long it took to shoot then?
No,
Or
it
short
took,
or-
actually it took 5 days to shoot that film. We shot that film in 5 days.
5 days.
Which is insane.
And how long did it take to edit?
So I'm sorry, here I am. Both. I have both of them.
I don't really remember. I think about 6 months. Was it?
6 months.
Yeah.
We had a lot of tape.
And a lot of footage.
Yes, it was a lot of good footage, but it was a lot of footage.
How long was the first cut?
I'm terrible with numbers. I really don't know, but I think it was a bit over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one, like the Claude
Claude's
was.
first cut.
Yeah, it was really about
Yeah.
breaking down the pacing. I mean, we had a scene, like the scene where they have dinner. There's like 5 minutes where he leaves the corridor and he goes in and he plays music and he's walking around and and I thought at first that would work and it didn't.
I know.
And we cut it.
I thought it was really, you were completely with it the whole time, even though there's just 2 characters and it's basically one place where you're filming. You were really in there, and I think that's incredibly well edited.
Was it emotionally exhausting? 5 days, intensive. Yeah.
Intensive.
They must have been hanging in the air from the shoot before.
We
as
have
well.
we have a great photograph of her with her hair, her hands in her hair, kneeling down.
In a
That we
nice
thought
shot,
should
yeah.
be on the poster. But
Um,
it worked well. The
Wasn't
5
the
days
scene-
wasn't.
I was
worked well.
preparing myself to make the scene.
David's praised you for the looks on the faces and when there's no words. One of the fantastic things about that is the audience can project. In love we overthink too much, don't we? So if you leave it kind of not exactly blank, but they're all overthinking it, and then you kind of get caught up in that turmoil. Is that what you were enjoying?
What?
Um,
I'm
the
sorry,
look-
I'm so deaf. I
The
mean-
looks on their faces.
Oh,
and
yes.
so much kind of tumultuous just on their faces.
Oh, very much. And I was reminded, the Russian, he came after Tarkovsky, Zakharov. And he did those films which are sort of 12 hours long. And I'm a great fan of film in any case. In fact, film has been a great influence on me as a writer. And he did a kind of documentary of the Russian occupation of Afghanistan. And he held a camera, I swear, 15 minutes on the face of a young Russian soldier. who was in an airplane, not knowing where he was going, and the feelings that passed through over this face of fear, wonder, surprise, and you were there for 15 minutes. I mean, a film is 12 hours long, but it grips you because of that, as I call that still tension.
But that's something about David's writing too, because you'll just have like a line or two that will describe like a passing of time. And we try to get that right. Me and Andre try to get that right. And, you know, like when she's looking in the mirror, I mean, that might be a couple lines with him. But, you know, in cinema language, it took longer to convey that.
So it's your choice where to dilate and contract the scenes, and was that what you two were mostly talking about, where to choose to stretch the time out when it's just a single line, and you looked at it, and did you read the story as well, Andre?
Yeah. I mean, every all these projects we started, there's another thing that we kind of used that was a suggestion of Stephen, was to play around with the exposure times. They were talking about the music, and everybody was, I think it's one of the moments that kind of put a lot of things together. They have all those transitions, those passing of time. They're actually doing on camera those longer exposure, getting to shorter exposure, doing zooms through that to get those light effects. That you have this thing of manipulation of time. At the same time, you have like the music coming in. What I think was nice to do that, because you come to certain things that you can't put on a page. You know, you are on filmmaking, and you know, words sometimes are not the best way to use for filmmaking as well. And I think we were all the time discussing like, how can we put that on images?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or when you get like something that is completely out of place, that you have the photograph on the wall, and you have like a lenses flare that you have from a light that actually doesn't exist. Though that's actually something that we build on the set, but that's like come this strangeness, right, to this thing. And yeah, that was like the discussion since before pre-production. We were always trying, and even after that, when we were in post-production doing color correction, we kept on this thing like, yeah, how can we show those things? You know, the feeling that you have reading the short story, how we felt. How can we share that with other people?
There was a shot of the two of them. We're looking at them. They're both sat on the sofa. Maybe it was my eyes, but I felt like they were disappearing a little bit. I don't know what you did at the time, but maybe it was my eyes. But I looked at it, and it looked especially like Renato. Something about it seemed to fade or something.
Yeah, there's a few things that we were playing around with, actually, because we used a lot of available light. We used a lot of like the windows, was a big presence of light in there. So we have a few shots that are on effects or actually happening. We had like sunsets and sunrises going on, and that was one of Stephen's ideas, to try to do those passing of time and for us to feel those things going on. And of course, I mean, we got some stuff lighter or darker, on the same frame. We kind of have those things of, it's a way to conduct the eye, right? And we discussed that a lot too. I can't remember shot by shot because we really were like 2 cameras for those 5 days, just never stopped shooting. And yeah, not sleeping, but I mean, everything was really conscious. I mean, to give some material at the end that they can actually set in this piece to not be too long and to have the right rhythm. It's yeah, and it's interesting.
Post-production too, yes, and visual effects.
Yeah, we have a few things there to make possible images that we can't have on set, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. No, it's just funny taking like the scene where the light goes down and we have the reflection of the city in her eye. We spent like days doing that.
Yeah,
which is it's fun.
Yeah, those little touches, we didn't want to be like a special effects film or anything, but we tried to do as much as we could on the set, and it was kind of crazy to do with like TV cameras and we don't have CGI or any, almost nothing of that. It's more the color correction, a few compositing shots, and unfortunately when you shoot digital these days, you can't really avoid a lot of work in post-production because you just have the technical challenges to do on the set. that to have the right contrast, you might not have the image at all, so you have to throw stuff away afterwards. And we were really fortunate to have these two people, Sergio Jacobina and Ricardo, having post-production, the colorist and the guy who did special effects. And of course, I mean, and the whole crew, I mean, I'll talk about my guys, you know, my co-camera operator was Ricardo Marquez. This guy, I mean, we were improvising, he had to have the same eyes that I had. We had to communicate, and we were acting together on this space. And Neto, that was the only guy on the lighting crew. What's a hell of work? Anyone that's done lighting in their lives probably knows how hard that is.
I think we're running a bit short on time now, so is there any questions in the audience that you'd like to ask everybody here at the moment?
Your next film.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so I'm shooting a
You're
film.
working together again, because you three have worked together before, is that right?
Yeah,
Short film.
yeah. That's to be debated, decided. It would be lovely if he could come and help me out with the film I'm doing. But I'm shooting a feature film in Portland, Oregon, and it's called Preservation. And I learned a lot from this film. I really like the idea of like keeping things in very few locations, because I have a lot of work, intimacy with the actors, and I'm very much into just working with actors. You know, I work with the director of photography and the art director before the film extensively, and then when I get to the set, you know, I like to just try to get the performance. And so it's Preservation. It's about two sisters whose parents have died and who live alone in this house. And they both grow up very different ways. One is slightly, I guess, neurotic, and the other, the younger sister, it's a kind of a story about letting go. She wants to move on desperately and get out of the situation that she's in. But it's very, very Portland, if you know what that means. I don't know. it's like, and it'll be shot in the winter. So I'm looking for something like very cold and, you know, icy in the northwest of the United States.
The tone of Portland, or the attitude of Portland?
You know, everything. I mean, the younger sister's a musician, and she plays some very like esoteric sort of music, and yeah, it's got that kind of quirk thing going on. But yeah.
And is it going to be another film? I don't know if this happened with Centre of Gravity, where you have the shot list and then you throw it away.
You know, we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's nice though. Anybody else? Any more questions? Okay, can I have a round of applause for everyone coming here today?
And thank you so much, Raindance, for bringing us here. That's excellent.
Yeah.
We're very happy to be here.
Are you going to hang around and see some more films as well? Or
I think
just
so.
visiting?
I think so.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you as well. Cheers.